Hello and welcome everyone to the Saturday stream for Fantasy Grounds Unity. I'm Josh, and this is our map and image creation, where we go over all of the art-related stuff for Fantasy Grounds, as well as demonstrations on how to use the built-in tools to create maps and images for your games, and all of that functionality, as well as all of our officially Smiteworks created map packs. So thanks everyone for joining me this afternoon. I very much appreciate it. And last week we started working on this kind of haunted cabin area. Oh, let me just pull that up again. And as you can see here, we got quite a bit done, and we're going to start building the interior today. I'll have to please excuse me because I seem to have a little bit of a cold, so I may have to mute myself a couple of times to blow my nose or sneeze or whatnot. So we'll just jump right into this today and start to build some of this interior stuff. We got kind of a lot going on here. In our exterior, we did some of these animated elements, so it's kind of like these little things moving around, as well as some sparkles in the water, some fly insect swarms and whatnot. So some real fun stuff here. And what we'll do is begin to build out this interior area here. Now, for simplicity's sake, we have this cabin level. But what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to separate the walls from the floor. Now, you can certainly do them all in one painting layer. We could even paint the walls on top here, but I want to have the ability to kind of go beneath the walls as well as above the floor. So the easiest way to kind of do that is to always build out our walls and floors separately. Now, because we use the grid system, it's really easy for us to mimic the exterior of this and just paint out the walls. So the first thing that I'm going to do is go into our assets over here. And we'll move this up, something like that. And we can go into, well, we can just do like a search, I think. And we're going to make this like a cabin. So we might want to do it like a log kind of cabin. So if we look up log brush, we may have some here. Now this one's in the, but maybe we'll do, let's just look up, I might do something like this. Now, the great thing about using some of these ones, this is from the Interior Map Pack 2, is that this light color allows me to adjust it. I'm going to make the wall a bit darker than the floor itself. So what we can do is, first thing we can do is make a new painting layer. Jump over into here, and we're going to replace our stroke element there with this guy. And you can see that this is it. I'm also going to change the corner to miter. I'm going to use the line tool here. So I'm going to have the front entryway over here. So to make things a little bit easier on myself, I'm going to start at the opening over here. And I can use the hold down Control to snap to the grid system. And I can just kind of pull this out, something like this. And we can snap to this wall. And if we miss, it's not a big deal, because we can go back and change this in a moment. And we can move this stuff around. So here we have a nice kind of wall element over here. I'm actually going to make it darker. So let's I'll double click this, and let's do it again. So I'm going to hold down R, G, and B, and I'm just going to make this a little bit darker. I'm going to make it a little bit more on the dark brown side. Maybe something like this, I think. And let's make it a little bit smaller as well. A little bit too thick, I think. And we can build this out and then double click here. And we might want to move this in a little bit closer. You can see here we have two, I'm going to make it like 2 wide here. So we'll do something like that. And that'll be like our front door. And we can put in another door if we have to. Yeah, sure. Ask away. Now I can use the same exact brush to do some of the interior walls as well, right? So we're going to have this like little entry area here. I think what we'll do is let's have a wall here. And again, I can hold down Control and kind of snap this out. So maybe we'll bring it to something like this. And maybe we'll bring this one to here. And then we can do one like this. And again, we can just hold down Control and kind of snap that into place. I think what we'll do is we'll actually do one coming out like that. Yeah, that's pretty good. And let's do one. We can maybe break this one off here as well. Maybe what we'll do is like that. Let's switch back over into here. I think we'll replace that one as well. And then we can come in here and I think I'll move this back so that it's just something like this. And we can get some nice kind of interactions here. Again, we can move this back and line that up a little bit. Excuse me for 1 second. I'm just going to blow my nose real quick. Sorry about that. And then we can start to now. So once we have this, oh yeah, toggle it on and off. That could be a possibility in the future. Yeah, I think everything else looks pretty good here. Now, because we have these two interacting this way, we can do some really easy stuff and kind of create some nice shadows from our walls. And I like to use that as a further way to differentiate between the walls and the floor itself. Have a little bit of a shadow kind of coming off of it. Let's see here. We can do start to set up these rooms in a little bit different of a way here as well. Yeah. So you are correct. So if we were to come into here and we go to the line of sight, and when we duplicate this, there will be a little gap here. We'll have to move that manually, but it's super easy to do. So if we duplicate this right now, you'll see that there is a little bit of a gap here, but then we can just move it out. And we can snap these. So if you wanted to make it a little bit easier on yourself, you could do this before you adjusted those. But on something on this small scale, I wouldn't worry too much about it. So now we can go back onto our painting layer over here. I'm going to go down into here and I'm going to create another painting layer that's going to be through here. Well, let's call this one walls. So we have a pretty good idea of what we're trying to do here. And on this one, we can put, I'm going to start doing a little bit of like the shadow stuff. And I'm actually going to do probably 2 layers of this. We want one that's going to be above and below all of the furniture and the other elements. So we're going to be placing around in here. But I'm going to start off with something along those lines, right? And there's a couple of different ways that you guys can approach this, depending on how you want to do it. Now you can certainly, we'll turn off the stroke and we can go into our fill area over here. Now we can actually do it with the fill stuff. Well, it does change. It has changed in the tools, depending on how we want to do that, right? So if we were going to put a door over in here, right, we can go into our wall section and we can go to our subtraction mode and subtract out a section like this. And we can hit Control Z to undo that. But you can also use your eraser to do that when you hit Control Z to undo that. So there's lots of different ways that you can approach that. If it's set up so that you're using a fill with the walls. So let me just show you guys really quickly. Let's go onto our cabin here, and I'm just going to grab this guy over here. We'll go like this, and then we can switch to our stroke and turn that back on. So if I were to draw this out, you see we have, this should be using this here. Hold on. There we go. And so if we were to, let's say, add to this, right, it's all going to add. And if we subtract from this, it's going to maintain that. So you have to separate your walls from your floor to be able to erase the walls out, right? Otherwise, it's just going to change the shape and always have that element, even if we do something in the middle. So that's one of the major differences that you want to do. So separating the walls themselves from the floor, you'll be able to maintain that element. So we can add to it, and we'll always bring all of these elements together into one shape, right? And then when we subtract, it's going to still maintain all of these. And even if we erase, it's going to keep that wall always on the outside. So if you want to be able to do that rather easily, you want to make sure that you separate the walls from the floor itself. All right, now let's go back down to our painting tab down here. I'm going to turn off the stroke and let's switch over to our fill element over here. Now we can do something similar. You can make your shadows with fill elements as well. So I'm going to switch this back over to my color fill. And what I can actually do here is do something very similar. I'm going to go back into the normal mode. And I'm just going to, again, I can hold down Control. Oh, I don't want to do that. I want to have my square selected, my rectangle tool. And we can pull this out. And then I'm going to go to my add functionality. We want to make sure that this is all the same element here. And again, we can fill this entire area in here. Let's grab these and move them down. And now we can go back into here and let's go into our subtraction mode. And I'm going to hold down Control and I'm just going to snap out these middle sections here. Well, we don't want it to do it there. We want it to do it here. And then right here as well. And we could even do some for the doorways and whatnot as well. But now when we come back over into here, what we can actually do is change the color of this, and then we can fade this out, right? So we can actually create and use our alpha channel here to make this to whatever we want to. Now, the advantage of using it this way is using these fill elements is that we are able to manipulate it after the fact. So yes, we switch over into here. You see, we can move these shadows around and whatnot, and we can still add and subtract to it. Now, if you're going to add to this, or if you're going to subtract from this, you have to make sure that you maintain all of the. We'll move this out a little bit so we can pull this in here. You want to make sure that you maintain all of the parameters that are set by this. So when we go back into this rectangle, we don't have to worry about it for subtraction, but if we're going to add to it, what we're going to want to do is we're going to take our sample, our eyedropper, and grab it. And this is what this is going to do. It's going to set this all up exactly as the color, as well as the alpha amount, as well as the fade amount, so that we can now add to this. So if you switch over to the add functionality, you can see here, well, that should have added to it, but it seems to have done something a little bit different. I think what it did is it reversed these, so they're going on the inside. So what we'd have to do is come over into here, and we can, this is not added to it. But see, we can, if we double click these, we just click one, we can reverse the direction of these. Oh, interesting. So this is a little bit of a bug, but we'll just go back and normally that would work. We'd be able to add in there, but we can still come in here and subtract from this. So if we want to remove some from in here, we can. And then we can come back in and we can further adjust this. So if we want to bring this back out to something like this, it's going to seem a little bit off because of the fade values. And you could always come back over into the edit fill area over here, and you can increase the opacity of this. You could increase the fade a little bit more. And we can get some nice little gradients. You can also change the corner elements here, right? So like we don't have to worry about it for our subtraction, but we can, our corners can be adjusted as well. So we could do something like rounded. I guess it doesn't really work with the fill anymore. I'll have to, but you can see that these ones over here are actually in reverse. So if you ever need to change that, you can just come in here and do that this way. But you can see how easily you can kind of draw out shadow shapes, right? So we have this nice little fade, and we can adjust some of this stuff here. This is going to be like there. And we got to move this one too, so that we get a proper kind of fade amount. There has to be enough of the fill element for it to fade properly there. And we could even go around and start to draw out lots of different elements. And if we want to, we could erase out of here too, but we're going to put a door in there, but maybe we'll have this like just this open way over here, and we'll put some doors here and here. Now, in addition to this, we can always go back, and we did this one last week, right, this bottom floor, but we can also change the colors of this if we want to. So let's say we wanted to make this a little bit more on the green side, so we could bring down the red a little bit, and maybe the blue. So you can mess around with all of those different elements, and you could even change the scaling and the rotation of any of the fill elements as well. I think I'm just gonna, let's go back into here, and I'm gonna pop over here, and I'm just gonna adjust these a little bit. I think I'm just going to lower down the opacity of this just a little bit more, make it something like this. Yeah, something like that. Much more subtle. And what I'll actually do is paint in some of the other elements. Now, the reason why I'm painting in these shadows is because then when we do our export functionality, we can grab all of this stuff and export it really easily. Great. So now why don't we start to decorate our floor in here? One of the ways that I like to work to minimize the number of layers that we have going on here, because we have quite a few going, is to always build those things from what is furthest away from the viewer and where the viewer looking down to the closest. So anything that we're going to put down on the floor here, we want to make sure that we're going to do that first, like rugs or any sort of textures that we might want to have layered over this, and so on. Now we're going to do that underneath this this shadow layer. So this will help affect some of those things, especially if we kind of bring it out from there. So if we go into haunted locations, the haunted interiors here. And here we have some nice decorations, and we have some like animal skin rugs, which I think will work really good here. And we have this one that's kind of like a pile of them. So why don't we switch over to our stamp tool, and we'll just grab and drop that right in there. And I think what we'll do is we'll maybe do like a fireplace on this side over here. So why don't we just kind of place something out here in the middle? And I'm actually going to lower down the opacity of this a little bit and stamp that somewhere like, let's actually make a new painting layer for this stuff. Doesn't seem to want to stamp there. Let's close that down and reopen it. Try that again here. Yeah, we'll do it like this size and lower down that opacity a little bit and stamp it like right in there. And what I'll do is I'll start to build out some of this decor first, and then we can kind of move up and add in some of these decorations. We're going to do like some spider webs and whatnot, and add in a bunch of different stuff here. So we'll come back to this one. There's a lot of elements in here that we can use as to kind of decorate this place up. But let's go in, and I'm just going to type in fireplace. And I'm going to use this one from Interior Map Pack 2. I think we'll use that one. And I'm just going to grab and drop this over here. And what I'm actually going to do is, I think we want this to kind of go up over the walls a little bit. So I'm going to put it on the wall layer. And, well, yeah, I think so. And I'm going to change this. I'm going to turn off my aspect lock ratio. I'm going to make it a little bit wider and not quite so wide, or deep. So maybe something like this. Maybe we'll make that a little bit, yeah, something like this. 3, I guess, is going to be good. And I'm going to use the control so I can snap to the grid here pretty well. And we'll put it to something like this. Well, we could actually do a couple of different things here, right? So I think, actually, now that I'm thinking about it, let's go back and put this underneath the wall so it kind of is sticking out from underneath it. So something like this. And then on our wall layer, we'll do the chimney kind of poking up a little bit. And here we have the same exact one, which we can then place up here and line that up. So we get a nice little transition. What other elements do you guys think that would be good here? Let's do some chairs. So I'm thinking something along these lines. And we could do like a table in here. We'll have this like the first little open area, maybe do some shelving and whatnot. We could also do maybe like some animal heads on the wall. What do you guys think? We get some of these plastic chairs from the abandoned places, and they have a whole bunch of different stuff that's kind of stuck to them. We could do some of these. We could make some of these look grimy and whatnot, depending on the era that we kind of want this to be. Yeah, lots of animal heads. I think that we should, like, it's a whole bunch of like hodgepodge of different stuff. What if we put let's put let's do like a table over here. So I'll kind of place these, some chairs around like this. So drop one like here. And we don't have to worry too much because we can move these around after the fact. So if we put our table here and they don't quite make sense, we can still move them, which is super easy to do. And we'll add some shadows and whatnot and all of that kind of stuff. But I like the idea of maybe something like this. We'll grab this one. And put this in the corner, maybe like kitty corner like this. And we'll add some like grime and whatnot to it. Maybe what we'll do is we'll make it a little bit yeah, maybe something along these lines. Oh yeah, too many heads. Oh, yeah, do another like chair over here, like facing. Sure. Maybe we'll use one of these like leather ones, and then we can make it look like it's all. We'll add some elements where it's like cracked, or we'll put a little table next to it. Some cobwebs and whatnot. That sounds fun. And now what we can do is we can do table. And let's find something that we could use for our larger table over here. Maybe a round one, or I like this idea of hodgepodge kind of stuff, like a whole bunch of different leftover bits that were kind of put around and placed. But we could also use something like this. And we can I'll grab this one for this larger table. And we'll change the color here a little bit, make it a bit darker. And we'll move it to something like this. A little bit off kilter here. I think I'll move it over here. And now we can move over and we can grab this guy and maybe do something like that. And add some decorations to our table and whatnot. And here we have some shelving and whatnot that we can use. We could do, yeah, let's grab some of this stuff. That one's, I don't really like how that one's sticking out there. So let's use something else. I think we'll just use a regular kind of thing like this. And then we'll need to put another element over there. So let's do, let's just type in furniture. And we have all kinds of different pieces of furniture here. And here we have some nice round tables as well. We can use those in some of the other areas. Yeah, I think that'll work pretty well. And what we can actually do, and this is one of the great thing about using these layers, is that if we want to, we can move this up above and we can have this shadow underneath, which that's probably going to work better for most of these pieces here. And then we'll add in some additional shadows. One of the things that we want to do is not to make this too dark in the beginning because we're going to be adding a couple of layers on top here. I think if we go, let's go into the we have some suits of armor and some books and whatnot. Some statues. So we can start to kind of place some of this stuff around. But I think we're going to do like a cloth. Let's do this as a full search here. I bet we could use like a rug for a tablecloth too, right? Maybe something like that. Maybe we'll use this one. And we can change its color. You might even want to, yeah, let's do something like that. Dried human skin. We'll find some plates. Or a dish. We can do like some silverware. Let's do maybe some knives. We can do one that's like stuck down into the table. And then we can add in a whole bunch of different stuff on top of our shelves here. Maybe even over here as well. We can grab some bottles. We have some little like groupings. Maybe like Let's see what would be good to put over here. Maybe some little statues. I think if we go into our interior map pack 2, add some little, oh yeah, pine cones, like fire starters. Maybe do like a lantern. Yeah, that's pretty good. So now what I'm actually going to do is, let's go back into our, I'm going to go into the winter map pack. Go into effects, and I'm going to grab something like this. Lower down the opacity some, and I'm going to paint it right over the top of some of this stuff. Just to add a little bit of texture to some of this. Yeah, that looks pretty good. And now let's start to add in our little shadows and whatnot. So I'm just going to grab this guy down here. And I'm going to hold down R, G, and B, and lower down all of the colors, making it black. And then I'm going to lower down the alpha channel here. And I'm going to add in a little bit more into their corners here. And what I'll do is I'm actually going to change its shape here in a second, but I'm going to do some generalized ones. So I'm going to come back down here and do some from underneath the furniture. And then we can go back up here, and I'm going to come in and do some little shadows from these items. And we can change the shape of this. So if we were to do something like that, right? Do kind of these oblong ones. And this is going to be good for doing like here. Maybe a little bit off of the and you can kind of be random with this stuff. You don't necessarily try to be too perfect. Because a lot of times the shadows aren't generated the way that you think that they would be. There's a lot of like reflections of light and kind of just let things happen. You can drop some in through here. We'll do some here. Yeah, very cool. Let's do on some of these bottles here a little bit. And we'll do some with our little lion statue. And everything's starting to feel as though that it's kind of placed in the scene now, rather than just like it has some weight to it, some substance. Cool. One room down. Let's move on to the next one. We'll jump in here. So if we're going to have this like our little entrance area, right? So as they come in, there's some like seats and some stuff on the walls and whatnot. We might have to make some animal heads on the walls, and we can do that pretty easily. But we'll do some and leave some spaces open for those to be kind of placed around as well. But we can, again, kind of jump around and do some of this stuff and create some nice little textures and whatnot. Thinking maybe what we'll do is we'll make this like a bedroom over here, and then we can have this like some sort of back room. And what do you think would be here? Or we could make this a bedroom. What do you guys think? A weird idol. What kind of idol are you thinking about? What would be the idol that we want to? Bones and antlers? Yeah, that sounds pretty cool. We can totally do that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up another window here. And this is what I use to do like a lot of image creation in through here, right? We're just going to delete this. And we can jump over here. Let me move this over. We kind of zoom back out a little bit. Yep, bedroom, kitchen, worship room. Isn't that like every cabin? An open book deal. We can have the book maybe on like one of those little, like pulpit kind of things. So in here, we're going to switch over to our painting tab, and we'll create a new painting layer. And I'm just going to type in bone. Let's see what we got here. Yep, this will be a good one. This is from the Dungeon Map Pack. And I'm going to put it in my stroke over here. And if we go over to something like this, and we drag out, you can see we can kind of quickly create. I'm just going to see if we can get one pretty good, something like that. And then what we can do, you can also rotate this image, right? So we could rotate it so that it's different shapes and whatnot. But I think this is going to be okay for us because what we can actually do is duplicate that and then go over into our tab over here, and we can rotate this. And we can also change its size. I think what we'll do, I think we'll angle it here a little bit. Let's do it. Whoops. Hmm. Doesn't seem to want to be working. If we had one that was completely horizontal across, we could do this a little bit better. Oh yeah, I think the new improvements are good. There's still a couple of little minor bugs here and there, but yeah, things are moving along pretty well. How are you guys finding it? Do you find it to be and there's some asset window upgrades coming as well, which I'm super looking forward to. Do something like this. Hmm. Cover up some of this broken stuff like this. Look for a rope brush. And we can do some of this kind of stuff. This will be our base, and we'll build something that kind of comes up out of it. And we'll grab some of these skulls. Yeah, I think we can use. We should do some sort of like cloth, right? Yeah. I grab this, copy that, and then we can grab some of these other elements, right? And then we can just place this right in here. And we'll do this and put this at the bottom here. And we'll do maybe like some yeah, right? For sure. Yeah, let's use maybe something like this. And then we can do maybe like some of these elements. Whatever. What other kind of things can we put on this? Yeah, I think that looks pretty good. Now all we have to do is export it. So we'll do here. And I'm going to select PNG. And we can do, let's see here. We'll call it idle. And then we just have to refresh our assets folder. And I believe I put it in the campaign. And we can just type in idle. Here it is. Now we can close this down and go back over into here, and we can just grab this and drop it over here. I think what we should do is we should probably build like a little like platform for it. So before we put it in there, let's do, I think that if we go into the haunted places here, as like this stone, we can use this. And what we can do is we can grab some of this stuff. Let's go down onto this layer here. Let's make it and grab some of these elements like that. And we'll grab some of these like roots. Nice. Now we can move back into here. We can grab this. And we'll do a little bit of shadow coming out from underneath there. And we can do some on here. Let's lower down our opacity a little bit more. And now we can come up onto this layer and we'll add in some shadows to the thing itself. I'm going to make this a bit oblong here. We can do some of this stuff. Now I'm going to make it round again. We can come in and add in some of this. Bring a little bit more shape to it. Make it seem a little bit more layered, like there's some height there. And I'll even go in, we can go into the winter art pack. Or we could let's just see what we have for like texture. Yeah, we could grab something like this maybe. I think we'll just go into the winter art pack. Super cool. And now what we can do is let's add in some stuff that's like above all of this, right? Some like things that are, I think that we have a cloth brush that might work really well. Yeah. And so we'll move back into our stroke over here. And I still want this to be underneath the walls because what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of do them like this. So maybe from here we can kind of do some of these kinds of things. We can do some smaller ones. And most of this stuff is coming from like the Goblin map pack. So let's go in there. And you can see we have all of this kind of stuff here. And I don't want that to be a stroke. I want that to be here. Actually, let's make this a little bit darker to match that. It's pretty good. So we'll do some bits that are kind of like hanging down, and we can grab this hexadecimal code. Then we can put some, what do you think would be down here? We'll put this like here. And then we can put like a book on it. I think we can then put some like here. Yeah, very cool. We'll lower down that and lower down the opacity. And then I'll do some for these bits. Yeah, I think it would. There's a little bit of a giveaway there, huh? All right. Well, I'm going to take a short break here, and then we'll be back in just a moment and finish this interior up. So if you guys want to just hang out for a few minutes, I will be right back. All right, and we're back. So thanks everyone for hanging out. I took a short break there. And then we're going to finish up the interior of this map here and continue down this creation process. We're going to be putting in some doors and filling out the rest of these rooms. So let's finish up this room. We'll put some stuff back here. I'm not exactly sure might go well down in this lower portion here. If you guys have any suggestions, I'd love to hear them. You can explore some of that stuff. We might even want to do, if we do like an effects layer. Now, obviously, an effects layer does not get pushed out in the export function, but it can be really fun to kind of use this stuff. And you can use the effects layers to do all kinds of really cool stuff. For example, we could do maybe like a water layer, and we could put that over here. Give like some sort of like distortion here. We can blur out those edges, so it's it feels kind of get rid of the droplet. But you can kind of do all kinds of cool stuff with this. Lower down the speed. We could even bring the speed all the way down to like almost nothing. As you can see, we can kind of play around with this and get lots of really cool kind of effects here. You can even do it like very subtly. You just get this like strange distortion here. Or we could use ocean, for example. Whoops. And again, we can play with these. We'll get our distortion back like that. And you can, again, do some really subtle kind of things here. But one of the things that I really like to do, and again, we can use all these different things to add all kinds of different kinds of effects and whatnot. But let's go over into our adjust colors, and we'll disable the mask here for a moment. And as you can see, this will affect everything. But one of the cool things that we can do with this, right, besides like doing this kind of like foggy intrusion, we can even give it some sort of like colors and whatnot. You can have total kind of control here. But let's say, for example, we want to do a little bit of like a glowing scenario here, right? So maybe we'll do with green. We can do this maybe like this kind of color. And then when we enable the mask, you could draw out, let's say like a symbol, for example. And then we can blur that a little bit. And we can change the brightness. And so anything that you now draw with this, we could add in some little bits. And maybe we'll get rid of this one and do some stuff up there. And you can see you can create like little glowing like symbols and whatnot. And depending on how much you blur it, you see will change from not blurred at all, but maybe blurred, something like that. Gives it that kind of like glowing effect. And we can do this with anything, right? We could do this with little bits of text in the book here. And you can manipulate that. any way that you really want to. Now this, like I said, is not going to translate if you do the export functionality, but it can be super fun to kind of play around with. You could even do like glowing stuff on the floor and whatnot. And you can always come back in and change these parameters, right? Like if I decided I wanted to make it like more like orangey red here, we totally can. But we'll delete that for right now. Now we don't really need to add that in at the moment. But let's do, you know what we could do over here? Let's do some of those spider webs. Excuse me. We can go into here, grab this guy. And this is from the new Haunted Interiors. And let's drop down underneath our walls here. We'll do it like here. Maybe we might even want to do some like down on this level. And then we could come up onto this level, and we might even want to do a couple like here. And we can always lower down the opacity of these and make them more kind of subtle. Yeah, so these are just kind of set up that you can kind of just layer them. And I'll lower down the opacity of this one. And kind of just fill up these areas with lots of this kind of stuff here. You can see that this looks really good. Lots of interaction here with the material, and kind of makes it feel like it's pulled out, stretched over some of these objects here. And we also have some animated ones as well. And so we could do something similar with that. So we can just grab this and drag it over here. And as you can see here, we can put this right up on this level. Make that a little bit smaller. We can just drop that right over in there. You can see we have these nice little animated webs now over in there. We could even do like dark ones like this as well. And we can do the same with this. So we could, to bring this over, let's make this like darker. Lower down the opacity. Oh, thank you. We could do some of this kind of stuff where it spans across, you know. And we can flip it. Change its size. I think we'll go with something like this. And we can turn this off. Let's make this a bit shorter here. Maybe we'll put in like a trunk. Maybe have this like coming out from underneath the bed a little bit. Some paintings leaning up against the wall over here. Nice. Oh, whoops. We want to be on a different layer there. So we'll jump up to here. Very cool. And we can now go in and let's add some texture to some of this stuff. So I'm going to go into the winter art pack. Go into effects, and I'm going to grab this one. Pretty cool. And now I'm going to actually make this lighter And we'll do some like lighter ones on here. Now we just need to put in a little bit extra shadows here and we'll be good to go. So let's lower this down, do this, and I'm going to make this a bit oblong to go along the side of this bed. And this trunk. And now we can go down like on this layer. And we'll need to grab some doors. And I'm going to do this on the walls layer. We'll keep that one open. Do another door here. Maybe we'll do a little bit different one for the exterior here. And I'm going to grab like a board. Like this one. And then we're going to go down onto the cabin layer here. Make like a little door jamb. Make this one darker. We'll probably just leave that one open so that it's less confusing. And then on the wall level, I'm gonna do this, make it like a little. Yeah, it looks really good. What do you guys think? All right, well, we're going to call it there for today. Finish this up, and then next week we're going to start. Oh yeah, we could do some flies by the blood for sure. And then next week we're going to start a regional map. Let's do. I'll make them a little bit darker so they're kind of easier to see. Cool. And over by the food. Oh yeah, the maps go up periodically on the Forge, so you guys will be able to download them for free. So there's a bunch on there already, and all the ones that we make here do eventually get up on the Forge. So you guys can just look for it's under the official Fantasy Grounds Forge stuff. Awesome. Thanks, Paulette. Well, thanks so much for you guys hanging out with me today. Really appreciate it. We'll be back this next Saturday at 3 p.m. Eastern Time. We're going to be working on a regional map at that point and moving on from there. So thanks, everybody, and we'll see you all next time. Have a great week, everyone.